As of last week, the Paragon team pushed out what's likely to be their final update. On April 26th, Epic Games will abandon its free-to-play MOBA. Paragon has been in early access and open beta for over 2 years now. It built a player base of more than 5 million players and a development team that pushed out well over 100 updates. And now, the game is effectively cancelled. After a rocky start, gaming outlets claimed it had made a comeback, but clearly not a lasting one. Where did Epic go wrong? Paragon was announced in 2015 as a MOBA for PlayStation 4 and PC. Epic set out to make a MOBA that embraced third-person action elements with an emphasis on mobility. The developer wanted to showcase the power of its in-house Unreal 4 engine while pushing the boundaries of the genre. The idea was to merge the fast-paced action of third-person shooters with the strategy and team compositions of a MOBA. In 2016, Paragon went into paid early access. With 13 heroes and one large map, players could finally experience one of the best-looking MOBAs to date. While the game eventually transitioned to free-to-play, at the start you could buy a $20 Founders Pack, a $60 Challengers Founder Pack, or a $100 Masters Founder Pack. All of these versions gave you access to the game and a slew of digital content to get you started. Paragon saw some success, but not without its share of issues. Due to the large map size, players needed to be able to move quickly, so the team introduced a travel mode speed. This allowed players to toggle between 2 movement speeds, one to get around the map and the other for combat. It proved helpful getting around the map, however players would use it to easily flee, resulting in frustrating engagements. Despite this, the dev team was transparent and constantly looking for feedback from the community. They continually tweaked and updated the growing cast of heroes, eventually capping it at 38. In August 2017, the game left early access and entered a free-to-play open beta. However, fans could purchase a physical version of the game called the Essentials Edition for $60, which included the beta and a bunch of in-game currency and other digital goodies. From this point forward, Paragon went through a series of changes in an attempt to streamline matches. The map size was decreased, players were more conventionally funneled into lanes to increase engagements, and the movement speed was continuously tweaked in order to find a sweet spot. However, instead of really fixing the movement problem, Epic introduced a new smaller map called Monolith that replaced the original.
Welcome to the Monolith Update, bringing you the new battleground in Paragon. Compared to our legacy map, Monolith is more compact, easier to navigate, and features faster paced action than ever before.
The loadout system that allowed players to equip 6 modifiable cards was reduced to 3 cards that couldn't be modified. This was an attempt to make it more approachable. Once these changes were implemented, players took notice and some expressed concerns. After that, the player count began to drop, and this downward spiral continued due to balancing issues. The diehard fans who had spent hours fine-tuning loadouts, mixing and matching different cards, and learning all the ins and outs were left by the wayside. But above all, fans were torn on the new map. Some liked it because it was quicker paced, but others felt it ruined the strategy. To make matters worse, due to movement speed changes, the original map was removed altogether. Epic tried to make Paragon more accessible, but in doing so, they alienated the player base that was propping the game up. Streamlining systems to reach a broader audience isn't inherently a bad thing. Monster Hunter World has seen a lot of success thanks to this. But Capcom wasn't constantly rewriting the script while hundreds of thousands of people were playing. Sure, sweeping changes and overhauls are to be expected when it comes to early access, but the changes fans endured with Paragon seemed like attempts to chase trends. AAA publishers and developers are always looking for the next big thing, but at what point does a game like Paragon or a developer like Epic lose its identity? Here we are in 2018, and Paragon is coming to an end. There are many factors that could have spelled the death of Paragon, but the most obvious and most likely is the recent success of Fortnite, a game that oddly enough was following a similar marketing course as Paragon. The game launched with a paid early access beta version and will eventually become free to play this year. However, Fortnite's boom in popularity wasn't necessarily due to the game that Epic shipped back in July. It's thanks to Battle Royale, a free-to-play version of Fortnite that has recently hit 45 million players and 2 million concurrents, an absurd number that blows Paragon out of the water. But once again, is a Battle Royale mode true to Fortnite? Is it just another example of Epic chasing trends? With Paragon's dwindling numbers and Fortnite's explosion, I have to wonder, did Epic shift resources, work power, and time to its star player only to neglect the game that so many veterans loved? But not everyone thinks that Fortnite's rise is what led to Paragon's demise. One Redditor, The Rough Stuff, has tracked Tencent's involvement with Epic Games. Tencent is a massive, and I mean massive, Chinese investing company that sunk $330 million into Epic Games, which translates to nearly half its shares. But what does that have to do with Paragon? Well, Tencent is also the primary shareholder of Riot, the developer behind League of Legends. The Rough Stuff claims that once Paragon started to pick up steam, Tencent took notice and became more and more invested with the project so it wouldn't become a direct competitor with League of Legends. Rather than pitting it directly against League, measures were taken to make Paragon more casual in order to compete with Heroes of the Storm and Smite. I'm paraphrasing the Rough Stuff's long, in-depth breakdown of Tencent's involvement, but this could have played a role in Paragon's fall. While I don't think Paragon would have come close to League's popularity, it may have had the potential to pull some of the players due to its next-gen feel and fast-paced action. Personally, I think it was a bit of both. Paragon had been revamped so many times with inconsistent results, while Fortnite struck gold with its Battle Royale mode almost immediately. There's no telling what Epic could have done with Paragon to even reach a fraction of Fortnite's popularity. It's hard to say how much Epic has made off these two games, but 45 million has a much better ring to it than 5 million. So what's left of Paragon? Even though these last few months have been tumultuous, Paragon has built up a community of dedicated fans. Some invested hundreds of hours, hundreds of dollars, filled the forums with tons of feedback, and created community tournaments and fan sites. Although the fanbase wasn't enormous, it was resilient. It was pulled a ton of different directions over the course of 2 years as Epic continually reworked the game and refocused its direction. The good news is that Epic is refunding players who invested more than time into the game. Unfortunately, the process is arduous and time-consuming, asking you to provide receipts, dates, and item descriptions. But a mere refund doesn't account for the hours the community spent beta testing the game and supplying Epic with a constant stream of feedback over the years. It's hard not to feel burned after all of that. Paragon wasn't just a game that was cancelled after a few trailers, or a game canned shortly after an early access period. It was a AAA game that built up a community with a 2-year early access beta test and then shuttered before it came to fruition. Star Wars Galaxies and Halo 2 have suffered similar fates, but both those games were live for nearly a decade. Paragon has been playable for 2 years. Scrolling through Paragon's Reddit page, there are hundreds of posts from disappointed fans. Some claim they won't jump over to Fortnite or any Epic game for that matter out of principle. Others are recounting inside jokes and highlights over the years, and some are even begging Epic to sell the IP to another company that will continue to support it. I can't imagine the latter ever happening. As of now, it seems like Paragon's fate is sealed.